Hey guys, so in this video we're going to create a simple blog API. It's going to have the ability to create, update, delete. We're going to use Docker environment with WSL. Some of the other things that we'll be covering is how to create a model, how to create a controller, how to create a route, and how to test everything that is working in your API. So we'll get started. Couple of things that you need to have already before we start this tutorial. I did go ahead and pull down a new version of Laravel, and I went in and ran the sail up command to build all of these Docker desktop containers that you see listed out here before you. If you are interested in that, you basically just go to the Laravel documentation and click on Get Started with Linux and start with this build command. I will have this in the description, and then you just follow the next couple of examples to get to the point where I'm at right now, which is I have an application that is called blog-api, and I have a whole bunch of Docker containers that are running here. Another thing that I did was I've already opened up my code editor, so I have the application that we pulled down already ready to go. And with those things set up, you're ready to take the next step, which is creating the model. So the way I'm going to do that is over here in Docker Desktop, there's this little button over here for Open in Terminal. I'm going to click on that. And I've found that this is the most effective way for me right now to do this. There are some other terminals that I could use, like for example, I normally have a terminal open in my editor, but this is the one that seems to be working for me right now. So I'm going to use the PHP artisan command, and we're going to say make model, and we're going to call it post, and we're going to ask that a migration file gets created as well. Okay, so it created our post model for us, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of things to the post model and also to the migration file that was created. So we're going to go into database, and we're going to go to migrations, and we're going to go to the create post table, and we're going to add two columns for here. It's going to be the table object, and then we're going to use the string function, and I'm going to copy this line because I'm going to use this again. We're going to set a column with the title, with a title called title, and then we're also going to create one that is called body. So we're creating two different columns, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to the Docker desktop terminal, and this terminal seems to be hung, so I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go back over to Docker, and I'm going to open up a new terminal window. And so in a new terminal window, I'm not going to run this command because I know that I've done this before and I think that it'll probably error, but you're going to run the PHP artisan migrate command. And if we hit enter on this, I'm more than certain that it will find an error that post table already exists, but for your experience, you should be fine. Yeah, see, this is the error, table posts already exist. You should be fine, and you should get a success message. So that is all good. I'm going to throw a clear on here so that we bring it up to the top, and then we're going to go back to the code editor. And now we need to add one more thing to the model that was created. So we're going to go to app, and we're going to go to HTTP, and we're going to go to, not HTTP, app models, open up the post model. We need to add one line of code in here that will allow us to add data to these new fields. And we're going to say protected, and this is going to be a fillable, and we are going to pass it, we're going to set it equal to an array, and title body. So that's going to allow us to fill the database with new data coming in. And now we want to go to creating a controller. So we're going to go back over to our terminal. We're going to use the PHP artisan command again. We're going to use the make controller, and we are going to put it into the API folder, and we are going to call this post controller. Sorry, I just want to get the capitalization correct. Post controller, and then dash dash model, and then we're going to attach it to the post model. And I'm going to hit enter, and it will create a post controller and a model. And the controller was created successfully. So now we can go back into our code editor, and we're going to go to the app, HTTP, we're going to go into controllers, we're going to go into API controller, and we're going to open up the post controller, and we're going to add a couple of lines of code that we need to add. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to update the index controller, or the index function, I should say. So the index function is going to show all of our posts. So we're going to start with a variable called post, and we're going to use the model, and we are going to display all, and next we are going to return response, and then we're going to call the JSON function, and inside that, oops, we want to create an array, not an object. Okay, and now we are ready to create our array data, and that's going to be posts, and we are going to send back the post variable that we created up here at the top. I messed up and I put one less s on the variable. So now we should be all good to go for the index, and let's just go ahead and work on the store function. So the store function is going to be what we use when we post a new post. So we're going to say post equals post model, and we're going to use the create function. Now we're going to get the request object that was passed in the parameter, and we're going to access all of the data there. So that's going to create us a post variable, and we're going to now work on our response message. We're going to go to response, and then we're going to go into the JSON function, and that needs to be an array, and message, post saved, and we're going to also pass back the post that was created. So that's going to look like this, $post. And we need that extra question or a semicolon there. Okay, so then the next function that's going to come up is going to be the update function, and let's get to that right here, and we're going to say post $post update, and we are going to pass the request all, put a semicolon on that, and now we can work on our good old response message. So response JSON, and we're going to say message we'll say post updated, and now we'll add the post, and we'll send back the post variable so that the front end actually can view the updated post that is coming from the database. So further confirmation that everything worked. So the only other function that we have left is the destroy function, and that's going to be pretty simple. We're just going to say post delete and we're going to again work on our return message. So return response JSON message post deleted, and we're going to leave it at that. Okay, so a couple of things that are off. I know that I have an error in my controller, so let's go check out what is the error. And using the code editor, it looks like it is right here, because it looks like we're missing a semicolon. Hopefully that took care of the error. And then I also realized that I'm not passing back the error code in all of my responses. So what we're going to do is we're going to send back the error code 200 in all of our return messages. So put a comma and then a 200 at the end of the response array. And that should take care of that. And so looks like we're still getting that error, and I don't know why we're getting the error. Okay, so now the error has moved to the bottom of the file, and that's because it lost another semicolon. And so now we are all good to go, and we have all of our functions created. So by this point, we're actually able to start testing the routes. So we're going to open up one last application. It's going to be called Postman, and this is going to allow us to test our API. I just have to close some of these windows first for things that I was doing before, which you probably can see very similar to what we were doing. So first thing I start off with is creating a collection, I should say, and this collection is going to be called blog API, because that's what the name of the app is. And then I'm going to create another new object, but this one is going to be a GET request. And to test that our API is working, we're going to go to localhost/API/post. Now if we send this in a GET request, I clicked on the blue button over here, so the request is on its way, and we should get back a list of blogs, which we did not. So, oh, I know why. It's because we forgot one last step, which is to add the routes. So that is my bad. So I'm going to close all of these files. We're going to come back in here to the root directory, and in the root directory you're going to find routes, and then we're going to open up the API folder, and to use the API correctly, we're going to need to add one of the files that we created already. So app http controllers, and then API, and then we're going to add the post controller, which is the controller that we created, and then one last line that we need to create, which is going to add all of our routes, is API resource. And we are going to say it is called post, and we are going to get it to the post controller class. So we're giving all of our routes that call the post, so our base URL / API / post, all of them we're telling Laravel that it'll be handled by the post controller. And with all of this in place, now we should be able to run our API request to get API posts. And as you can see here, we already are getting back some data because there was some data and the database still persisted from an earlier attempt that I had made in an earlier video. So now that we have our API working and we are able to retrieve data, your data will probably be blank because you haven't created any data. So let's create some right now. So if we go to localhost and we go to /API / post, and we want to change this variable on the side here from get, we're going to use the post verb, and then we're going to click on the headers, and we need to add a couple of things here. We need to add content dash type. We need to set that to application /JSON, and then in the body of our request we're going to click on the raw button, and then we're going to create a new post. So we're going to say title, and we're going to say this is a test title, and then we're going to set the body to, and I need to put some double quotes around this. This is the body. And with all of that in place, we should be able to send this request, and we should get back a success message from our API saying that it is created, and then also showing us the newly created object. And if we pop back over to our GET request, we can see here that it should pop up in the request when it comes back. So let's do visualize pretty. Is that the one? Yes, pretty. So you can see test, another title, and you can see here down at the bottom is the object that we created, which is called this is a test title. If you're doing this for the first time, ID will probably be equal to 1. For mine, it is equal to 5 because I've done this a couple of extra times, and so I have some old data and some old things that are kind of sort of still hanging out. But now that we have a create, let's go ahead and test our update. So we're going to create a new request. We're going to go to localhost and then posts. And because I know that the last one that I created is ID set to 5, and because I also don't have one that is set to ID 1, I'm going to put a 5 at the end of this URL. You're going to want to put 1 here if you're doing this for the first time, because that's going to update the only record that you still have. So basically just make sure that whatever you see here in your get list request matches whatever you put at the end of your URL over here. This is going to be an update, so we're going to use the put or patch command. Either one will work. And then in the headers, we're going to do the same thing where it is content type, and then application JSON. Nope, that's not the right one. There we go. And then over here in the body, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to click on raw, and we're going to start creating a JSON object, and we are going to update the body of the request. So let's say body and then a colon, and then let's put this is the updated body. So with all of that in place, now we can hit the send, and we should get back again another confirmation and also showing us the request or the updated data, which it says this is the updated body. And if I go back over here, you'll see that object number 5 has this is the body, and then if I hit send again, then we get another updated body. There we go. This is the updated body. So we know that that works. So we have just one last request to work on, and that is our delete. So now we're going to create a delete command. So again, click on this little down arrow and go to delete, and it's the same URL. And this time we're just going to delete the last one that we created. So I'm passing it 5. This is the first time you're doing it. It'll be a 1 for you. And if we hit send on this request, we should get back post deleted, which we do. And then if we display all of the posts, we will get back a list only containing 2, or in your case, probably an empty one. So there you guys have it. That's a API created within minutes with Laravel, where you can update, delete, create, and list all of your data types. And thank you very much, and I hope this video was helpful.